Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Myself, Maseeha. I am studying grade 10. Today, I am here to give a seminar on topic sustainable development with on social studies. So, before heading on to the topic, we need to understand what does our chapter do. So, let's take a daily life example. So, there is a fruit. Now, consider this fruit is for everyone. Now, this fruit to come in this position to grow this much, it has taken clean and fresh soil, which is nature's, and also fresh and clean water. Now, what if this entire fruit is only consumed by me? Now, my little classmates are there, but it is only a one fruit, and I was supposed to divide it equally into everyone and then have it. But no, what I did, I had power to take entire fruit and eat, and I ate. Now, what is here happening? Now, let's understand what sustainable means. Sustainable in the sense to use natural resources such as land, water, forest, mines, ores in such a way that it is even left for future generations to come. So that without any hard work or how we got it from our ancestors, even they should get from us. Means we should keep that much resources for them in the quantity that they should be able to use it without any hard work or without any uh, hard work or suffering. So with equity, now what here is happening? I ate the entire fruit. Now don't go on the quantity of the fruit because here we are understanding what does equality is. Equality in the sense here if I would divide the fruit into everyone and eat, then it would be equality. But here what is happening? Only it is consumed by me. So it is showing that how unequally the development is distributed in our country. Sustainable development with equity. Sustainable in the sense using natural resources in such a way that even future generation can use this. Development in the sense in common words we can say growth. Equity as I explained it means distributing equally so that everyone is able to use it. First, the lesson 4. Now let's get deep into the topic. The lesson 4 or what it wants to say or the reality. Here there are two main factors which we need to understand. First is GDP and HDI. In GDP, even per capita income. Per capita income and HDI. The full form of GDP is gross domestic product and of HDI is human development index. Now consider a daily life example. I have given two options. In the first option, I can develop only my in the sector of economy. Means I can develop my goods like the value of goods in the production and trade, import, export. This all I can focus on. On the other hand, I can focus on employment, education, and most importantly, health. You might have heard people saying health is wealth, but here in this sector, it is considered as wealth is health. Now, what do we mean by wealth is health in the sense? The economy, the money, the growth of production means whatever we are producing in the goods value is all considered. It all comes under GDP, and here in the HDI comes employment, education, and health. Now, the reality of our country, what is actually happening. Now, I am not telling that only GDP. This chapter is way more important and we should neglect this chapter. None of these are not useful. They both are very useful. Without this country environment, I also without this country environment. But what is happening in our country, GDP is given more preference, more priority than HDI. Whereas HDI is more important. HDI is a good tool. Now what is happening here is development factor. First, blind GDP growth. In our country, GDP is increasing blindly. Means we are neglecting HDI and just focusing on GDP and it is growing day by day. Next is we are ignoring basic human facilities. Basic human facilities in the sense. Now, what do a person need? Like if we say basic facilities, basic needs: water, clean water, food, clean and nutritious food, clean environment, and an employment and a job where he can earn for his family without any stress. So these are the basic facilities. So what is happening here? Blindly GDP is growing. Here blindly GDP is growing day by day. But whereas if we see HDI, Human Development Index, is decreasing. Means if we are ignoring it, we are neglecting it. What is happening here is, we can say, extreme inequality. Now, did I do equality when I had to share the food? No. So here equality is not at all seen. It is extreme inequality. Means there is not at all equality. Means the development is not shared among the population or among the citizens with how it has to. Means it is not shared properly. It means that inequality is happening. So now development is not just about money. It is more than money. Development is not just money. It is more than money. But in the eyes of industrialists, economists and producers, they don't see HDI. They always neglect it. Because why? HDI is seen after all the citizens of the people, all the population. But here only GDP is seen. Can I get a social media? Now next, GDP and per capita. Now what I said, GDP and per capita income, they just track the economic values, means related to money, how much they are earning, how much income. So it is all seen under the GDP and per capita. Whereas they are ignoring the critical realities like malnutrition. What is happening here? They are ignoring critical realities. What are critical realities? It means that malnutrition, poor schooling. Now in our country there is poor schooling. They are not seeing that, but they are seeing how much import we should do, how much export we should do, how we should earn differently. They are not at all developing on what they have to develop. It comes poor schooling and also malnutrition. How many percentage? There is lack of children, there is lack of adults in our country who are suffering from malnutrition. They are dying because of hunger. We say hunger strikes, but actually they are having hunger strikes. In their high hunger strike. Now they are not getting food. They are dying because of no food. If they are also getting food, that is not at all properly prepared, not nutritious. So here, this is what inequality is happening. So what they are saying here, inequality is happening. They are ignoring the critical realities such as malnutrition and poor schooling. Now, whereas if we see Human Development Index, it is a better tool. It expands development, include health and education. Health and education. It expands. Now HDI expands development, means more and more in the education and health. Now let's see how it workforce in India. Workforce. In India, more than 90% of people are under unorganized sector. Now, what do we mean by unorganized sector? Organized sector and unorganized sector. Organized means the segregated color. Unorganized in the sense, here they are not getting proper safety, they are not getting proper income, there is no proper salary, no proper holidays, they are working a lot. Means hard work is more. Whatever the work they have to do, they are doing. Hard work is more. But wages, when it comes to salary and their wages, is very low. Unorganized sector, they don't have proper security of their food, they don't have proper security of their income, not their holidays, nothing. It is called as unorganized sector. So imagine, out of 100%, 90% of the workforce. Now I take 100% consideration. 90%, more than 90% are under unorganized sector. So imagine how much they are neglected. HDI, only 10%. Now they face what? Low wages, and they have to work hard and also in unsafe conditions. Now let's see page number 145 and all this. So here what we can see, there are the graphs which it is showing us. Here what you can see, a vast majority of the household are at the bottom, whereas there are billionaires on the top. That also a tiny group of billionaires. What is happening here? Only tiny group of billionaires. Now let me tell you about billionaires. Now, once, number system, once, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000 lakh, 10 lakhs, crore, 10 crore, million, 10 million, billion. This is how it goes. Whereas people are just earning in thousands and billionaires are double and triple of it. So only there are tiny group of, you can see here, only a tiny group of billionaires are here. Whereas vast majority of people, vast majority of the people are sitting at the bottom. Means they are having this unorganized sector profit. The next topic we are going to discuss about a practical example. Now, what do we mean by practical example is, have you ever visited to Banjara Hills, which is in our Hyderabad itself? So you might have, if you have not visited, you might have heard about Banjara Hills. So, practical example. Practical example. Let me show you if you haven't visited two places. First is this place. It is a very crowded place, whereas this is very peaceful, right? Now this is the place, or this is a place called Dharavi slum. Slum it is, not even a proper area, it is slum. Dharavi slum in Mumbai, okay? Largest colonies of people, poor people, urban people of India lives here. Whereas it is the view of Banjara Hills. Banjara Hills is a view of Hyderabad, an area where the riches of Hyderabad lives. So this is was the practical example between a slum area of Mumbai and also a rich city, rich area of Hyderabad. Vast majority of people are living here. But here it is still called as slum because you can see the conditions over there. And Banjara Hills is called as rich area of Hyderabad, where the riches of Hyderabad lives. So these were the examples given. So these two examples which I have shown, they provide us the information of our current progress. Right now, how the progress in our country and how poor are left behind, it is shown through these two images. Now the next topic is nature's budget. Now, if I say you that my annual budget is 1 lakh, okay, I have 1,70,000 to spend entirely on my, like for 2027. For 2027, I have 1,70,000 rupees total amount. Now, what is it called as? It is called as annual budget I am having. Now, it depends on me how I spend and where I spend. Now, in short, it is called as annual budget. So, now let's learn what is nature's budget. Nature's budget. So, here, source, thing. In source, giving or supplying or providing, whereas in sink, absorbing or human consumption. Human consumption. Nature's budget. Now I have studied about annual budget. Let's see what do we mean by budget in nature. Like according to the nature, economic growth is actively breaking nature. So now when I say economic growth is breaking nature's limit. This sentence we will understand after discussing this. So now let's discuss what is nature's budget when we say it is source and thing. The environment serves two vital functions. Here, the environment's function, it had to do two important functions: source function and sink function. Source, like basically source, it means that supplying or providing. Here, nature is acting as source function by giving us natural resources. Natural resources such as land, water, Forests, roads, mines, underground water. What are all these? These are facilities, or they are. It is given or provided or supplied to us as source function. Now let's discuss what is sink function. Sink function, I will be absorbing. Now what absorbing? Absorbing waste. Absorbing waste, toxic substances, garbage. Yes. So first, let's see. Nature is divine. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala granted us with many things. We cannot count that many things have and many facilities we are having, such as land, water, forest. These all are very important for economic growth. Here, all these are considered as raw materials and used in production, which is increasing the economic growth eventually. Now, when we are continuously using them, we are also throwing our garbage, toxic substances on the ground. Here, through this only, land pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution is taking place. We are just throwing our toxic chemicals and waste and garbage on the land, chemicals also. What here and the second vital function what environment is playing is it is sinking. It is sinking, is absorbing. Whatever we are saying, it is absorbing through the rain. Now it is cleaning. First of all, it is providing also, and then it is cleaning itself also. But what we humans are doing is we are throwing that much of garbage, chemicals, and toxic substances in the environment on the ground that here we are crossing our limits. Its carrying capacity we are we are crossing the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity in the sense how much it can weigh till what limit. But what we are doing, we are crossing the limit. Now we are dumping the waste faster than it can recover. Waste is dumped and recovery is very low. Means in itself it is recovering, but how much we are giving, how much we are throwing, it cannot recover. We are putting the waste faster than it can recover. Now here what we are doing, because of this our activity, the sink function of environment is breaking. Indirectly the carrying capacity is getting depleted. Means it is getting destroyed in simple terms. Means we are crossing our limit and now it cannot be. Now do you think this all can be recovered later? No, this all is a permanent damage. Means once it is destroyed, it is destroyed. In the further, like in the future, it cannot be recovered. The next topic is danger of groundwater. In almost every second house we see, there might be boreholes which will be run through the diesel or electricity, groundwater. Groundwater is just the water which is stored inside the ground through the borewells or tube wells will extract it with the help of diesel or electricity. Now page number 148 and 149. See, you can see a UN photo it is of 1957, farming and irrigation in Rajasthan. This is how it was done previously. Electric borewells. So now I showed you about Rajasthan. In this Rajasthan, it is an old photo of 1957, few years back. Now here a method of irrigation is used which is called as motabag. Previously, when this wasn't introduced, which wasn't introduced, electric borewells or tube wells, which run through electricity and diesel, wasn't introduced. This traditional farming was used, which was open well. They were called as motabag. So this was used. They only now here what they did, they only use small area. They only use small area to irrigate. Of only minimum 2 acres. 2 acres. 2 acres of land only they use, which was a small irrigated area they use. Now, when these electric boreholes, modern, these are modern. Now, when these modern electric boreholes or which run through diesel pump set were introduced, they changed everything. They changed everything immediately. Extremely and immediately. Entirely. Here 3 things. Extremely, everything and immediately. Everything. When first motabagi, the method, it was a traditional method. This is a traditional method. Motabagi, this traditional method was used. But when electric borewells or pump set was introduced, they changed everything entirely. Now, what we do now, what is present situation happening is, we drill deep down. Then also not okay, not metered or feet. It is we are drilling hundreds of feet down. 100 feet down into the groundwater, which was recharged by our ancestors. But now what are we doing? We are continuously, every single house which you can see are having these electric borewells or pumps which are through diesel and electricity. Now we drill deep down into the ground, not in the hundred of feet, and use groundwater as our source for water. Groundwater is now now we have seen how this electric borewells or pump set have changed everything. Now let's see, groundwater tables are heavily poisoned. Now how are they heavily poisoned? See, groundwater is under the ground. Now we are extracting, or we set the borewells or pump set in our land, and we extract deep down. Now let's see how the water is poisoned. Poisoned land. Modern farming. Now we have read about modern farming, which was used through electric pumps, electric or electric borewells. Now in the last point, I have said that now groundwater is getting poisoned, heavily poisoned. Now before going to the groundwater, we need to understand how is land poisoned. First, chemicals are in short. Let's see overall. Chemicals are sprayed onto the fields or crops. It enters food and water because through the land. Here, for example, this is the land, and here are our crops. And here on the aquifers, we are having groundwater here. So the chemicals are reaching deep down into the ground. Here they are the roots. Because of using very harmful chemicals, it is reaching the deep down into the ground, and the groundwater is also poisoned like this. Our food which we are consuming is also poisoned, and groundwater is also poisoned. Because of this, 5,000 plus innocent death, means the people who even weren't in this actions their lives were taken away. Now in 1962, Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson wrote a book by the name Silent School. In this book, she said about a chemical by the name DDT. In 1962, Rachel Carson wrote a book with the name Silent Spring, wherein she discussed about the DDT, the effects of DDT, how the environment is getting in, and then how we are destroying the environment with the use of DDT. She proved now, and here we have ordered DDT. For example, we can take DDT only. It is a chemical when used. It was accumulating in the food and water, and indirectly it is coming in our body and accumulating in the body. Not only in the body of humans, but also in the body. First, it is accumulating in the body of both animals and humans. Now, here, the one who is using chemicals for their crops are us, we humans. But the one who are suffering the innocents who are they are the animals. It was even entering the food of animals because animals, the birds, they come for they come for in the crops for having their food, right? When they had the food which was already poisoned through the chemicals, they had and they were dying. And we were accumulating in the body. Now, when these chemicals are accumulating in the body of birds, they become lethal and they were dying. Now here animals are dying because of using poison chemicals. Second, humans, because we are the one who is here. It will be processed and it will be coming to us. So even we are humans were suffering. We were also dying because of accumulation of chemicals in our food, in our body. There is a tragic Indian example, an example what happened in India, in Kerala, Kasaragod. Kerala. Now what happened here? The government sprayed the chemical called endosulfan. We can also call this as endosulfan tragedy. What government did? The government sprayed endosulfan. The government sprayed endosulfan on the cashew crops for more than 25 years. And what were the result? Using helicopters, means not through the hand of the land. By the help of use of helicopters, so that all areas will be covered, they sprayed the chemical called endosulfan in the Kerala Kasaragod. So what happened? What was it? Now this was the output. Now this was the input. Now what would be the output? What would be the result for this was the cost. What they had to pay. The cost. What came? Air, soil, water. This all, which were the natural resources, these all were poisoned. Many people died because of this. Because their air, soil, and water. These are the basic necessities which human need. And if these are poisoned, what will be the cause of their death? This only, right? Because of using endosulfan chemical for spraying on the cashew crop, the first came, the input, the output came that air, soil, and water. These three things, these natural resources were heavily poisoned. And not only for 1 year, 2 years, but for more than 25 years, they did this same process to get a good yield. 5,000 people plus they died. And I know, right? The previous question that 5,000 plus innocent dead. We are discussing about them only. 5,000 plus people died because of natural resources getting poisoned, and countless families. We cannot even count. Countless families had babies which were deformed. Means something or they were in the body. They were not properly formed. They had some or the other disease, or they body parts were not proper. Something it is called as deformity. So countless families, babies, they were deformed. 5,000 plus death by using the poison natural resources. They poisoned it by themselves, and now they had 5,000 plus death, and countless families had deformed babies. They were cancer. They suffered from cancer and what deformity. Countless families. And now what government took action after 25 years, it completely banned the chemical called endosulfan in entire country, because they thought that they said the article, the right in article 21. In article 21 there is a right called right to life was violated. Means this wasn't given to the people. Means right to life, under what comes under right to life? Means clean water, natural resources. They should have soil, water, air, whatever basic necessities which they don't have to pay for. They had to get, which was not poison. So they completely banned this endosulfan, and it was completely banned, and people and it was issued by the Supreme Court. The next topic is Sardar Sarovar Dam. Development versus human rights. Now, human rights are our human rights. What means we should get proper food, we should get natural basic facilities. What is human development? Means growth of the country. Now, both are very important if we see the growth of country. Here, what was happening? They were just industrialists, producers. They was just seeing development while neglecting the human rights. This was my part one. Part two will be continued.